Hi, good morning, everybody. Everybody hear me all right? Great. Yes, I did drive about 4:30 in the morning, came here. My motivation, of course, other than this workshop, is the nasi kandar I can have after this. We do get the best ones around here. Okay, as a continuation to the presentation last November, that one was mainly to discuss about what is the benefit of FTTH. Today, we are going to look into the main question for a lot of housing developers, infrastructure providers, on what is the transition that you need to do from copper to fiber, right? All right, so as usual, I'm going to start with who is FTTH Council. There's a website that you can go to. Latest updates on FTTH in the region. We are not the only one, but we are definitely the leading force in the world. Definition of FTTH according to FTTH Council. Okay, MCMC technical standards that we have helped to provide information and also help to build. And of course, the emblem system and case studies on US, South Korea, and Taiwan. All right, let's begin. Or not begin. All right. The FTTH Council Asia Pacific. Can I have a show of hands who have heard of the council before today? Thank you very much. Okay, that's about 5 people. Okay, the FTTH Council Asia Pac is a non-profit organization formed in Singapore since 2005. It's just registered there, but it is Asia Pacific. And you see on the right side of the slide, those are all the members of the council. We are a member of different industries, telcos, test equipment, and standard bodies out there, which includes even governments from New Zealand. You can see here is Crown Fiber Holdings from New Zealand. Our mission is to educate, promote, and accelerate FTTH in any way possible. It includes clearing up any misunderstanding, what is the best way forward of FTTH, and also give advice in both technical, regulatory, and market development. Right. And the FTTH Council that I represent is Asia Pacific. We have 5 different councils, sister councils around the world, which we call FTTH Council Global Alliance, FCGA, which includes America, Europe, Middle East, and North Africa, FTTH Council Africa, and of course, Asia Pacific. In Asia Pacific itself, we have the President, Monique, and part of the board of directors, which includes also Mr. Ishibashi from Sumitomo, Anil from Euroline, Mr. Yang from China, Mr. He as well, and also Mr. Kudipwaya from India. Okay, if you see on both sides of the slide, those are some of the interesting numbers that I'd like to share with you today. Up to December 2011, just last year, there's 58 million people in Asia Pacific that is connected via FTTH. So it's not something new. It's been there for over 10 years. And every hour of the day, 24 hours a day, approximately 1,500 people is being connected. Okay? We are not alone. Things are moving forward. And around Asia Pacific, there's $60 billion US being invested on FTTH network. By 2015, on the right, you have about 140 million users expected, with a usual growth of 20%, and one of the biggest market is definitely China. Okay, some latest market studies. At year-end 2011, there's approximately 200 million wireline broadband subscribers in Asia Pacific. Unfortunately, FTTH only is 27%. Okay, majority is still DSL due to the legacy copper network. But if you look at Asia Pacific, Malaysia is one of the top 10 in the world. We have Japan, China, South Korea, Taiwan, and Hong Kong. And Malaysia is just right next to it. Right. The good news for the next 5 years is that FTTH is going to grow at an astounding rate, 20-25%, and DSL is only going to grow at 5% due to legacy networks, people are being connected, and so on. But if you look at the scope as a totality, DSL is declining. The number of ESL users are declining by 2%. FTTH and the rest is going up. So this is a good time. Everybody in Asia Pacific is adopting FTTH. And what are the key challenges to FTTH deployment? Okay, it's not technical, not design, because we have enough experts here that would be able to solve most of your questions. First problem they're going to have is competency. Do you have enough people to work on? Okay. Number two, civil and construction. What we are here today to solve. And the rest will be customer equipment, customer awareness, and content, which the service provider and network provider is going to do. All right. But Asia Pacific is a very mature market as of today, and we have solved most of the questions that you see here. Now, a bit of summary on what is driving FTTH in Asia Pacific. One, of course, Asia Pacific has one of the largest population in the world. Two largest, meaning China and India. Okay. We have a lot of MDUs, which we'll look into today. And FTTH itself is low competition in Asia Pacific because most of the networks today are new, and people in Asia Pacific tend to be bandwidth hungry. Okay, just a show of hands, anybody who is downloading movies most of the time. Okay, I've spoken to MCMC. It is illegal to download. Maybe a YB can, right? But it's illegal to distribute. So it's okay. I hope I'm okay. Correct me if I'm wrong. Now, of course, a lot of governments, for example, Penang, Australia, New Zealand, is putting money into the ground as new fibers, new trenches to provide this to everybody. And a lot of incumbents are involved, a lot of experienced people. And the next thing that was going to fuel all this FTTH is that you're going to have a lot of people using smartphones, 4Gs, 3Gs, and so on. What they need as a backbone is fiber. And that is inevitable. Okay, what is FTTH? There's a lot of definition out there, like what YB mentioned this morning. There's FTTH as fiber to the home, fiber to the premise is about the same. Americans use FTTP, I'm not sure why. They just want to be different, maybe. Fiber to the building, fiber to the curb, fiber to the node. And if you can't decide what you're going to do today, you can just put fiber to the X. Some people say fiber to the farm. That usually happens in New Zealand. Okay, FTTH, according to the FTTH Councils, this is a document you can download from the web, FTTH Council website. It is a free document. It's downloaded from any of the council members you see on top, the Europe, APAC, or America, which defines FTTH as an access network architecture in which the final connection to the subscriber premise means that your home or your apartment or your condo is optical fiber. So the optical communication path must cross the subscriber premise boundary. Okay? Inside the premise, on the external wall, or no more than 2 meters from the external wall. That is the definition. So you have, it can be on your desktop next to the TV, on the wall outside your house. If you have a garage, you can put it inside a garage, but no more than 2 meters away. Okay? And it excludes architectures where the optical fiber terminates in a public or private space before reaching the premises where the access path to the subscriber over a physical medium is other than optics. So it looks like copper, power cables, or wireless coax. If you have a fiber going to your MDU and then you use LAN cable, those are not FTTH. I'm sorry. And that is defined under FTTB, fiber to the building. So fiber to the building is defined as an access network architecture where the fiber optical communication path is terminated within the building for the purpose of carrying communication services for a single building with potentially multiple subscribers. Okay, so this implicates entering the building, terminate on the external wall of the building. If you have a condo, it's on the outside, that's fine. Terminate no more than 2 meters from the building, enter at least one building within a cluster of buildings on the same property. So you have 5 blocks and the fiber enters one. Okay. Terminate on the external wall of the building or 2 meters from the building with clusters. So those are definitions accepted by the FTTH Council or Global Alliance. Right? So it's a document, you can take a look at it. Now, in graphical point, FTTN is what we know as the DSL. You have the active cabinet by the roadside with TM, Maxis, whoever. You have the cabinet right about here, and the rest will be copper. FTTC, rarely used in Malaysia, usually used for cable networks, especially in America. FTTB goes into the MDF of the high-rise, or a cluster of high-rise. And of course, FTTH that enters each housing unit. Okay, everybody all right on the definitions? Cool. Okay, so what is FTTH in Malaysia? I had the privilege of working on this guideline quite a number of years ago, and some of the photos seems to be very familiar to me. Okay, so according to the FTTH in-building fiber cabling by MCMC via MTSFB, this is the generic network facility provider FTTH network infrastructure. So it covers high-rises, individual SDUs, homes, shop lots, and so on. Again, you may have already a copy of that with you, or you can download it from the MTSFB website. As a simplified version of it, okay, taken up most of the buildings, you have the central office where the OLT connects to the backbone, and you have the OSP networks here. Then you have underground cables or OA cables to what we call a FDC, fiber distribution cabinet. These are things that you have at the roadside. They are totally no power needed. Okay, unlike DSL, you're going to have power batteries where people steal the battery, put into their lorries. This one has no power. If I was in Jakarta a few weeks back, we had water up to about knee-high. No worries, they should not be affected. Okay, unless the lorry actually knocks into the cabinet. All right. So from there, you can either go underground into the MDF room, or you can go on a pole, go up to a fiber DP on the pole itself, and drop into the homes. Next, if you go into individual infrastructure, okay, from distribution cable coming in, you have the telecom rack. It goes up to the riser, internal cable. This is what we call the vertical cable, the horizontal cable, and into a termination box or faceplate in your home itself. For single dwelling unit, you have the DP going into a fiber termination box on the outside of the wall. This is very important because this box itself converts an outdoor cable into an indoor cable. Okay. The difference is on fire safety. Indoor cables are low smoke, zero halogen, plus fire retardant. Outdoor cables are UV protected. So you don't want to have your cables exposed, like what YB said, can crack everywhere. So that is where the transition comes in. On the inside, into a fiber socket. Right, any questions before I move on? No, everybody seems still awake, I hope. All right, so internal cabling and landed properties for area underground. Where is the jurisdiction and the responsibility of a property developer? From the FTB to the network outside is the network service provider. This one is either by the NFP also or by the service provider, meaning for the faceplate into your services. By developer, it's only this section, this yellow section. So generally, premise internal cabling covers the interconnect between the FTB to the fiber wall socket. No difference from what the copper is today, from the outside the wall to your telephone jack. Okay. So the developer or premise owner is only responsible to provide cabling between FTB and fiber wall socket. So if you graphical point of view, you have the boundary for aerial drop, This is your pole, drop down from the FTB into your FWS. This is where the developer or customer is responsible. If you look at the picture here, the FWS, the fiber wall socket, is no different from your telephone jack. It's still the 86 by 86 British standard. On the outside is a small box, approximately 15 by 20 cm. Thickness maybe approximately 4 to 5. Okay? And this, from here to the box, is provided by the NFP. Okay. Next, if you have an underground service, your responsibility as the developer only covers from the network boundary, from your fence, to your faceplate. Same thing, the faceplate has no change, the box on the outside, no change at all. All your ducts, still the same. Now, for shop lots, okay, shop lots with multiple stories, you have the fiber termination box at the stairway, and then going into each home up to the fiber wall socket. And this is your responsibility point. This is a box that you put at the stairways. Okay. Now, for MDU, it's a bit more interesting. Okay? MDU has a bigger portion in FTTH because it covers a large number of users. So the network boundary for developers for MDU development is from the what is this called? The FTB, the cabinet from here, telecom rooms, all the way to the fiber wall socket into the individual units itself. Okay, this involves internal cabling all the way through the existing riser or cable rack, through the conduits, all the way next into your telephone jack. Right. So this is how it looks like. You have the telecoms room, you have NFP providing one rack, FTB on the other side, going through the riser and then into each room. If you have two buildings in the same compound, the NFP will go into the first building and then interlink to the next one, and so on and so forth. The fiber technology itself is good enough for 20 kilometers. So in this case, one single conduit coming in for the service provider is enough. So there's no issue, there's not really a requirement for multiple ducts to each room, each building for the main ducts itself. Okay. And this is how it looks like. You have the wall socket, again 86 by 86 version. You have the riser FTB. You have some samples at the back that you can take a look at. And of course, in the telecoms room, you have a simple rack. Standard telecoms rack, 19-inch. Okay, that's enough. There is no need for power in the riser. And of course, itself here, there's not really need for air conditioning, but you preferably that. Sometimes I need to work in that one. Okay, so what are the specs for the cables? How is it different from your copper cable to your fiber cable? Okay, again, samples are in the back, you can take a look at it later. In the MTSFB guideline, there are two recommended cables. One is the FRP, fiberglass reinforced plastic cable. This is highly popular in East Asia, as in Taiwan, Japan, Korea itself. This is a very simple system that is being used, and there's a fiber recommendation as well in here. Next is what we call a blown fiber unit, where the fiber is blown through a duct and is being branched out into each floor. Again, this is very popular in Taiwan and Singapore. Okay, so what do you think is needed for transition from copper to fiber? Okay, bear in mind, only 4 things. Number one, all your ducting and cable tray remains the same. Okay, actually it can be smaller, but if you're comfortable with what you have today, you can reuse all of it. Okay, first thing you need to change is number one, in the MDF room, instead of having a space for DSL and power, you only need to have floor space for 2 racks. Okay, 2 19-inch rack, and that's it. Instead of a cone block, you can remove that and replace with a rack as well. Next, you will need to change the cable. So, subtle change. You see the cable here is different color, from copper to fiber. So you have internal cables, it can be blown fiber or FRP cables. Next, instead of the FDIs that you have the square box with 10 pack cord, you have a FDP, fiber termination point. Again, a sample is at the back. And in the homes, you have fiber wall sockets instead of telephone jacks. Hence, only 4 things you need to change. Everything else remain the same. It's a simple transition, and the cost is what Dr. Mohammed has mentioned just now, is 30% less. Of course, if you go for a project, it may be even more. In single dwelling unit, it's even easier. So you have a termination box on the outside, fiber, internal fiber, this is about maximum 10 meters to a wall socket. Again, all your ducting and cables remains the same. You only need to change 3 items: internal cables, FTB, and fiber wall socket. Okay, so what are the benefits of FTTH other than the faster bandwidth itself? What does it mean to housing developers or building owners to have FTTH? Well, this is where the emblem system that YB mentioned just now this morning. The FTTH councils around the world has endorsed what we call an emblem system. We're going to start here in Malaysia very soon. What it means here is that the FTTH council is helping a lot of housing developers by giving them a certification saying that their network is fiber ready. Okay? This is a sample that you see in America. You have the council and you have the service provider opinion. And this logo you put onto your brochures to sell your apartments, homes, or even to lease your office buildings. Say, this building is fiber connected. Next, Korea. The government enforced what we call a star rating, the emblem system. 1 star up to 10 meg, 2 star 100 meg, 3 star is with LAN, 4 star is fiber. And this is a total new guideline from them as well. Started in 1999, and this system, you can use this, and it's mandatory to all the building developers to show this on their building. Okay? Show this on the building, say, I want to lease this building, I have this star rating. I want to sell this building, this is my star rating itself. Next is Taiwan. Taiwan, simpler, gold and silver. So gold is FTTH. The fiber goes into the home. Silver, FTTB. The fiber goes into the MDF room, but still copper. So benefits to a lot of property developers is that it increases the value by 3 to 8%. Okay, more expensive houses, by the way. And commercial sales over developers are reluctant to adopt FTTH. Increases leasing value. If you have fiber and you have a neutral network, you can apply for MSC status. That's for sure, because you need multiple service providers. And of course, corporate visibility as a leader in industry. Okay? So there are benefits to adopting fiber, both technologically and commercially. And this has been shown in Taiwan. Back in the 1900s, if you have tap water, you get 5% more in price. Telephone lines, 7, and so on, air conditioning, access to public transport, home security, how much CCTVs you have in your compound, and of course, FTTH will give you about 3 to 8%. Okay? And to a house, which is for a house right now, 3 to 8% will cover definitely the FTTH installation. Okay, so the conclusion, this is my last slide, okay, very quick before lunch. FTTH is a proven technology. It's a technology that's been out for at least 10 years, and in Malaysia, there's already 500,000 people enjoying it. Okay? There are numerous guidelines deployed to deploy FTTH networks from Asia Pacific FTTH Council and also from MCMC and TSFB. So the transition from copper to fiber is very easy. There's only 4 things you need to change for MDUs, 3 things for SDUs. And adoption of copper increases the value of the property and also reduces your cost of deployment. Right? So these are the benefits of FTTH, and I hope after this workshop itself, you consider to have FTTH in all your new buildings itself. With that, thank you very much.